ladies and gentlemen, I am your Destined Dad, and welcome back to a late week at Zer review. I apologize, I got a late start today. Very long night last night, and I completely forgot to set an alarm to come over here and see what Zer has, and I didn't remember until about 20 minutes ago. So here we are, we're gonna go and see what he has. I'm gonna try and get through this one a little bit quickly, both as practice to move faster and just because I'm late. So let us see what the guy has. Okay, Zer, you can stop talking. First off, this week he has class items. As always, remember, go to the Pale Heart and focus the roles that you want or need. For our exotics this week, we've got Getaway Artists, good resilience, not as much discipline as I would like on this exotic, but an overall stat roll of 66, which is pretty decent. We have the Mark 44 stand aside, 66 base stat, which is decent. Recov, I personally like Recov on Titans. For like PvP, I try and do resilience and recov at 100 for both Titan and Warlock, and then mobility and resilience at 100 for Hunter. So for me, I like recovery on Titan. I know a lot of people don't, that's fine. But these are for your shoulder charge ability. Your strength is pretty low and your mobility is pretty high for that. I would probably pass on those if you just want them for collections. They're still going to give you the, ability. They just give you an overshield when you're sprinting with your overcharge, shoulder charge. That's what I meant. Assassin's Cowl, great exotics, 10 out of 10. This roll, mobility, recov, intellect. That actually might not be bad. Gives you good super uptime, gives you good dodge uptime, and gives you faster heals. I do believe that this is one of the exotics where its healing capabilities is based off of your recovery stat. So a lot of people will not put any recov in their build if they're using this, and that is kind of stupid. One of those situations where don't use any melee energy in your build on a hunter, because all you gotta do is dodge. And yes, but what happens when you screw up your rotation and now you don't have a dodge for 5 minutes because you do have 0 strength in your build? Even if your build revolves around getting something refreshed over and over and over, it is still good to spec into that stat. So don't listen to someone who tells you that you don't need recovery, you've got a healing build. Most of the things in the game that heal you base their heals off of your recovery stat. And for anyone who doesn't know, because I explained the other two, you can eat your arc grenade on Prismatic or Arc Warlock, and you get a little arc buddy that floats around. It amps you, and it does damage. It's really obnoxious with certain weapons. There's a lot of builds. It's great on Prismatic. Take 3 seconds of looking on the internet for Warlock builds, and this is going to show up 20 times. Up next, we have the Rat King Catalyst. This is phenomenal if you have buddies who want to run around and do memey goofy stuff. Solo, it's not really all that important, but I have done Rat King only Oryx, I've done Rat King only Riven, I've done Rat King GMs. Rat King is fun, it's goofy, and for some reason it's actually strong if everybody is using it. So for sure, pick this up if you don't have it. Skyburner, this is another one that I'm pretty sure only gives you bumps to stats. I don't think this one actually improves your weapon. Let me see if I have a Skyburners in my inventory. I don't have one at current, and it doesn't say here what it does on dim. But normally if there's an extra perk or something, it lists it in the bottom like it does on the Rat King, so I'm pretty sure that this one is only a stat bump catalyst. Next up for our strange offers, we've got materials and Gambit engrams this week. If you despise Gambit, but you want to focus some of the Gambit weapons, here's an opportunity. I guess spend your strange coins on these. I would just suggest go and play Gambit. It's not as bad as you think it is, I promise. Alright. This week for our exotic weapons, we have an actually really decent Hawkmoon. Wow. You lose a little bit of handling with this grip, but it's such a snappy weapon that I don't think it's going to hurt you. I'm pretty sure that this is the only mag it can roll. This is one of the best barrels for range. Moving target's phenomenal. I think mine is very similar, but I think mine is Eye of the Storm instead of moving target in this. And then your catalyst, if you have that, is going to also increase your range. So you're going to be 75-ish in range with this roll. That's real solid. Definitely recommend grabbing that. Next up we have Sweet Business. Very annoying, but not strong. It's one of those cheesy kind of guns that people use a lot. Wave Splitter, I think it's still good, but I think it's just power crept by the other exotic trace rifles, and even at this point legendary trace rifles. If you have any of the legendary trace rifles from the dungeon that just came out, or from Iron Banner, or was there one that came out last season that was good, or is there one that coming out this season? I can't remember, but either way there's been several that have come out and they're pretty spicy. I know a lot of people don't care for trace rifles. Give them a try. They're really good, they're really fun, and they actually kind of cook. They're not a DPS machine, but for clearing ads and like using it like that, you basically use this like a primary ammo. Like they're great. Up next we have the Queen Breaker. Once again, phenomenal weapon. This season it is very much so the meta. After this season it probably will drop off some, but due to its rework it is still going to be good. For our legendary weapons, we have Nature of the Beast, Hipfire, Vorpal. Honestly, not nearly enough range in my opinion. I know everybody's got their dick wet over Hipfire weapons and things like that with Radiant Dance machines right now. So if you want to give this a go, sure, but it's got next to no range and its perks are not really great. So I would stay away from that one. No Reprieve, Pugilist Wellspring. This is actually not a terrible roll if you're building into like a melee based build and you want a decent stasis slug. That being said, this is craftable, so I think you would do better by just picking up a few of these and using some of your resonance. Quick Draw Wellspring on Far Future. Super underrated sniper rifle. I absolutely adore this thing. I could not get a good roll of it before it left. I think I actually finally got rid of the one that I had in my vault because it just was not good. Wait, no. Oh wait, no, I did finally get one. Alright, so my roll is Quick Draw and Opening Shot. So this thing can get much better rolls. That being said, this roll overall isn't bad. Yeah, maybe Extend Mag, honestly, as weird as that sounds, but a lot of PvP players lately have been running Extend Mag on weapons in PvP instead of like Accurized or something, and I scratched my head at it too. But it gives you a ton of AE for just free. Quick Draw is good, Arrowhead's good, stability is decent. I would prefer range personally or handling, but it's decent. Quick Draw is phenomenal. Wellspring is okay. It's not going to do you any favors, but this sniper does feel good, in my opinion. I always liked it. So this is one of those things. It's not going to be an opening shot. It's not going to be, you know, Firefly. It's not going to be some crazy sniper perk. But what it's going to do is passively give you ability energy. So if you want a decent sniper in your energy slot and you don't have another one, this is not going to be a god roll by any stretch of the means. I would say this is maybe like a solid 3 out of 5. Maybe 3.5, depending on like what your preferred version of a god roll would look like. But anyways, Deadpan Delivery, Surplus, Killing Wind, Light Mag, App Mag, Full Choke. Yeah, this one has too much going on. It's partially good for PvP, partially good for PvE, not really actually good at either of those. I would skip on that myself. Temptation's Hook, Tireless, and Whirlwind. We do have Sword Masters and we do have Jagged. So in terms of like mathematics, this is mathematically the best version of the sword's base that it can be. Let me see. Tireless is a watered down version of Relentless. It's not bad, but it's not going to refund ammo as fast as that is. That being said, this is a caster frame, so you're probably going to use this for both like hitting high health targets and ad clearing. And if you're going that route with it, Whirlwind is going to be great for high health. Tireless is going to be great for ad clear. And it's just a cool weapon. It was the first like different sword that we got to my knowledge in Destiny. Like this was the start of us having waveframe swords and things like that. Like this is really where it started. Memory interdict. Hard launch spikes. That's like the perfect roll on every grenade launcher. You want hard launch, you want spikes, and you want velocity. There is a play, in my opinion, for the what is it? Is it black powder casing or something like that? There's one that increases your magazine. Augmented drum, maybe. I can't recall off the top of my head. I have a grenade launcher that has it. Augmented drum, yes. There is a play for augmented drum, but you do lose out on damage, and that really depends on the grenade launcher. That being said, surplus and unrelenting don't really tickle my fancy personally. Alright, and lastly, let's take a look at the class specific stuff. But the class specific swords, as of yesterday, according to the TWAB, are no longer class specific. There's been about going around recently for the class specific glaives and swords, and they have been bugged, and you can use them on every class. So Bungie has basically addressed it. They said, hey, we're looking into it. They didn't disable it. They didn't really do anything about it. And then yesterday in the TWAB, they said, you know what? This is goofy. This is fun. We like seeing people do goofy, quirky, fun stuff with this. So they're no longer class specific, and it's going to remain that way. So they did talk about doing buffs and updates and changes in the upcoming future, where they're going to make them better on their desired class. So like Quick Fang is always going to be best for a hunter, is what they basically are saying. But Warlock and Titan can use it too. They're just not going to be as synergistic. So I don't know if they're going to retroactively come back and tweak the old swords, or if that was more for the glaives. They were kind of like open-ended about it, but either way, very exciting, very fun. God, this sword is so hot. I love this sword. I would love to get like a replica of this IRL. I think this is a phenomenal weapon design. Alright, energy transfer and assassin's blade. I would probably skip on this one myself. If you wanted to do an ad clearing build with it, I suppose you could, and it would work with these perks, but I would pass on it personally. And it is not the craftable version of the weapon, so you're not going to be able to do that with it. Now, for the armor for your hunter, we have a base 65 pair of arms, mid resilience, mid recov, high discipline, low mid intellect. There's no mobility on it and no strength, but overall that's like a decent. You got like medium spikes in all of the more expensive stats. So a lot of people would probably pass up on that if you were looking for stat bumps or just a decent base set of armor. I would go for it. I would not pass up on that. 63 chest piece, 50 mobility, 12 strength. I probably would pass on that personally. You got the cloak. 61 resilience, discipline, strength on the helmet. Low base stat, decent spikes. It could be a little spikier even for 61. But that being said, again, if you're trying to make a build and you need these kind of specific spikes, go for it. 66 base legs for your hunter with 24 discipline. I would 100% run this if you need a pair of legs for a grenade build. Well, that being said, let's head on over to our next character. I think we are going to our Titan today. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are here on our Titan. Let's see what our friend has for us on the Titan. let's see. Obviously, we have the class item for the Titan sword. We've got Thresh and Vorpal. Honestly, a pretty yikes roll in my opinion. You do have Jagged, which is decent, but Thresh and Vorpal is not really what you're looking for on this sword. Best damage perk is Surrounded. Best left column perk is Relentless. But there's a bunch of different good perks, and you just managed to have like basically one of the only few that are not great. I would pass on it personally. Again, these are not the craftable versions of these swords, so there's no reason to pick it up unless you want that specific role. Up next we have the gloves. I don't know why I clicked on it. 64 base, high strength, which is good, high mobility, which is not as good unless you're wanting maybe a mobile Titan for PvP that does a lot of melee stuff. I would probably skip on that one unless you just really need that plus 20 in your strength. For chest plate, we have another 64 base, more high strength, this time mid-high recovery, I guess, and then kind of mid-mobility, mid-resilience. If you're a returning player and you don't really have anything Armor 2.0, or if you're a new player, this honestly wouldn't be too bad. Even if you're not a returning or new player, if you just need a decent bump in your strength, this is going to be decent overall. Class item, as of course. Then we have the helmet, 64. Everything's 64 today. High recuv, high intellect, mid strength. That's actually a really decent helmet for a build where you want high health and high super uptime. I would definitely pick that up if you don't have something better. And then last but not least, we have legs based at 65. We broke the chain. Sad. Alright, we have mid-high mobility, mid-high resilience, mid-high discipline, and mid-high strength. That's actually really good if you manage to get together a quad 100 build, maybe on Prismatic on Titan, with ability spam. I could see 100. Well, that would lean you going to 100 mobility as one of your quads, which you probably don't want to super do. But overall, I do think this is a good piece of armor, and if you don't have something better, you should definitely go for it. That being said, let's head on over to our final character, our Warlock, and let's see what Zer has for us there. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are on our final and third class, our Warlock today. To see what Zer has, let's check it out. Once again, he has the exotic class item that will not change outside of which class it is for the Eternity's Edge. Ooh, that is actually one of the better rolls. We just don't have Jagged. It's like 4.5 out of 5, I think, somewhere around there. Where is my Eternity? It can roll with Jagged, right? Yes, it can roll Jagged. This is just one off from last week's. Last week's had this exact roll, but it had Jagged Edge on it. That is sad. But once again, this is probably one of the better rolls of this sword. Honed Edge is decent, it's just not quite as good as Jagged. Still gonna be fine to use this. Tireless is decent, not as good as Relentless. I don't believe Eternities can get Relentless, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, it can. Okay, so if you see this with Relentless and Surrounded, that's gonna be the best version of this. Tireless Surrounded is going to be a very good secondary option, however. For your armor, 67 arms. Ooh, resilience, discipline, a little bit of strength. That's a really solid base stat and spiked arms. I might actually be picking that up if I don't have better arms. 63 chest piece, low overall, kind of mid stats, but it does have a decent spike in discipline. If you need it for a grenade build, go for it. If not, I probably would pass on it. Class item, of course. Helmet is 64, high mobility, high strength. I would probably pass on it unless you're wanting it specifically for PvP. Some people like a high mobility lock in PvP. I probably wouldn't, but if that's your cup of tea, go for it. Won't hurt you. And then base 64 legs with decent resilience and recovery, decent intellect and strength. I would definitely go for these if you do not have something better. But with all of that being said, I believe that that is our Zer for this week. Thank you to everybody who watched. I will catch you again probably Tuesday. I do want to make that video talking about loot in general, but I will probably have a busy weekend, so I will probably do it sometime next week. I'll talk to you guys on Tuesday for Banshees re-roll, and then again next Friday. But until then, have a good week. Enjoy Iron Banner while it's still here, and I will see you Guardians next time.